Ask the Mini WarPainter!
Chris here with another episode of Ask the WarPainter. It's been a few weeks since we've done an episode of this, so let's just jump right into the comments from last episode. Quirk asks, do a SENMM video. Also, you rock. Still want to throw down my Grey Knights against your Eldar. Do a Sky Earth non-metallic metal? Yeah, it could happen. 40K Tyrant asks, Chris, how do you motivate yourself? Because I pick up the brush, 5 minutes later, I throw down the brush, annoyed. I just get very bored very quickly. Well, how I motivate myself is often setting a goal. Painting shouldn't be a chore, and assembling your model shouldn't be a chore. It's all part of the hobby. So if you feel really annoyed with it, take a break. Maybe there's other things going on in your day-to-day life that, maybe need more attention than sitting down and, assembling or painting models and such. And so I would recommend that. Otherwise, motivating myself is really just trying to work within, when I'm feeling inspired to paint or play, then, that often I try to use that. And when I don't feel in the mood, I don't bother, and so most of my army sits unpainted right now because, hey, a lot of times, I'm too busy and just can't get to it. Limbo89 asks, nice video, Chris. Next time, you shouldn't record in a room that produces such an echo. I don't know what you're talking about. Running Target writes, hi, Chris. Do you have any tips or tricks when it comes to painting metal miniatures? Just bought me a new HQ, Black Templar, Chaplain, Grimaldus, and Retinue. When I use the Chaos Black spray for undercoating, some of the detail seems to disappear. Well, that sounds like you might be spraying just a little bit too close. Otherwise, that's about all I can think of. Maybe the spray paint is a little too thick. And thank you, Dan. I wish I could turn this camera around and capture that. Slapdash Mini writes, hey, Chris. What do you think are the top 3 things that new painters need to stop doing in order to make better looking armies? I find that a lot of new painters make the same mistakes due to a lack of know-how. Your videos can stop the madness. Well, new painters need to start cleaning their models a little better. They need to take care of their brushes. And the third thing they can do is using the right paints for the job. Often, some people, when they're into model painting, they're not using good acrylic paints. Often they'll use like enamel paints, or they're using like the dollar store craft paints and such, as often those don't really have the right viscosity for painting on models, and so often a lot of mistakes can be made that way. As far as brushes, well, getting the right brushes. There are some brushes where they're like the tester ones that are just like, splayed way out, and it's, no, get yourself some good and proper brushes, people, and stop that one. Assembly, cleaning off those flash lines, filling in the gaps. It makes a world of difference. Stop the madness. Gosford writes, Chris, you should do a whole airbrush series for different types of airbrush systems, techniques, thinning paints, etc. P.S. How are your mercs coming? Would love to see you get those buggers on the table. Well, I'm working on my mercs. I've currently got Alexia on foot painted. I've started painting her Risen. Her Risen are not quite there yet. I finished Cal Belloc and I finished Drake McBain, and so I've got them painted. I'm trying to get through them, as I would really like to get some battle reports on the website featuring my mercenary army. Demon Master writes, Mini WarPainter Chris, keep up the good work. Hope to see more of you. P.S. I'd like to see you rocking a top knot in your next battle report. Ham Wallet writes, Chris, my hands aren't very steady and I find painting detail difficult. Do you have any advice? I would advise that you rest your wrists on the table. Often that will make a world of difference, such as the tables here and your wrists are sitting like that. And that way your hands can just move just like this as you're painting a model. More and more like this. Matthew 2792 writes, can you do some Eldar Tactica? Yeah, I could. Maverick 452 writes, do you do commissions, Chris? Sometimes I've been known to do a commission. Nudo Ninja writes, I would like to see some orc painting tutorial for boys units. I have a whole bunch of them and would like to see how I could paint them quickly and make them look better than decent. Well, soon enough there will be some orc boy tutorials appearing on the website. I'm pretty sure they're going to be for the Vault though, but if you're already a Vault member, then great. Chris, what occurs once in every minute, twice in every moment, yet never in 1,000 years? Argelmer writes, it might happen, TM Chris. That's actually not bad, I might have to trademark that. Dabby Gun writes, got a question for you, Chris. I am painting an orc army, painting the boys, and boy, there is a lot of them. If it was you, would you paint the boys at a lower standard, thus say your HQ, because there is a lot of them, and do them in like groups of 5, or would you do them one thing at a time, like skins, weapons, and so on? Thank Dabby Gun. When painting large groups of models, definitely, if you're going to be going, especially for orcs, Tyranids, Imperial Guard, tons of models, yeah, you'd want to batch paint them. Using a spray paint system like from Army Painter and such is the best option. Nighthawk NM writes, when you do the Dark Elder, will you be illustrating how to do the glow effect on the armor edges? Yes, I suppose I could. Xenocide writes, great idea on the series, Chris. I've got a question. How do you go about planning bigger projects like soul grinders, tanks, or any other kind of monstrous creature? I always feel kind of overwhelmed by amount of work. Thanks. Really, it's just go over the instructions of your model, sit down, plan it out, and just do little bits at a time. You don't have to do the whole model in one sitting. I know like models like the drop pods or the Land Raiders. The Land Raider I know is quite a task to put together. So take your time. When you're putting it together, often it's good to have like big elastic bands, or if you have those small plastic clips for holding parts together and such. Also, another one is if you're using a lot of crazy glue, use the crazy glue activators. White Yin writes, Chris, could you possibly do a detailed video for skin? I hate painting skin. I'm such a perfectionist. Doesn't help I suck at blending. Paint is either far too wet or just a bit too thick. Wasn't going to ask the second question, but would you strongly advise mixing medium and the lye for skin? Or can you pass off with water? Perhaps the video will explain this. Yes, I could do a video on skin. Actually, it might be a lot of fun. There's many variations on doing skins. Everything from different human types as well as doing elf flesh, dark elf flesh, you know, gray tones, and that could be quite an extensive series, doing the many different kinds of flesh and different techniques for it, especially if you're going to dry brush or wet blend or just layer or who knows. So yes, it is possible. So again, thank you for your questions and comments. Please keep sending them in. Any questions, I'll try and answer them in this series. Happy wargaming.